Greetings and salutations, young true believers. So, here to talk to you about Clive Bell's form in modern painting. So, Clive Bell is typical of the early 20th century, and this particular piece in your text was published, I believe, let's check, in the 1930s. Uh, he's very typical of that era where philosophers and aestheticians generally, right, art historians, art critics, were rejecting the notion of mimesis as the be all end all of painting, imitating nature, right? So uh, instead, the school of formalism began to take root and dominate art criticism, art history, art philosophy. Uh, and what is formalism? Formalism in aesthetics has traditionally referred to the view that the properties by virtue of which an artwork is an artwork and by virtue of which its value is determined are formal in the sense of being accessible by direct sensation alone. We're not imitating anything, so goes the thought. What strikes you about a painting and what makes you react emotionally are lines and shapes and colors, forms in short, right? And so Bell here on page 23 of the text, if second paragraph of his article, for either all works of visual art have some common quality, or when we speak of works of art, we gibber. Everyone speaks of art. Everyone speaks of art making a mental classification by which she distinguishes works of art from all other classes. What is the justification of this classification? What is the common quality common and peculiar to all members of this class? Whatever it is, no doubt it is often found in company with other qualities, right? So what is it? Significant form, he tells us toward the end of the paragraph. In each, lines and colors combined in a particular way. Certain forms and relations of forms stir our aesthetic emotions. These relations and combinations of lines and colors, these aesthetically moving forms, I call significant form. And significant form is the one common quality common to all works of visual art. Now, a bit later in this particular piece, Bell's going to make an interesting concession. We've seen just in these little bits I've read that Bell emphasizes the emotive content of art. If a piece of art can't make you feel anything, he tells us I have no right to call it art, right? But strangely, he says, I don't understand music well. I don't understand music, and music is not part of his analysis of significant form. Here at the bottom of page 25, I do not understand music well. I find musical form exceedingly difficult to apprehend, and I am sure that the profounder subtleties of harmony and rhythm more often than not escape me. The form of a musical composition must be simple indeed if I am to grasp it honestly. My opinion about music is not worth having. That's really strange for someone who emphasizes the emotive content of music, or of art, as being of paramount importance, right? But nevertheless, right? There you have it. So, what about this? What about significant form? Well, here, this is the bottom of page 23, spilling over into 24. Bell entertains an objection. At this point, it may be objected that I am making aesthetics a purely subjective business, since my only data are personal experiences of particular emotion, and that's always worrisome, right? This is what the critic tries to do. It tries to get you to understand a work of art as she or he experiences it, and that's a very difficult thing to do. It will be said that the objects that provoke this emotion vary with each individual, and that therefore a system of aesthetics can have no objective validity. And here's his response, right? And again, this is good practice for your essays, right? You've got your main argument, then you include your opponent's best counter argument, and you respond. Here's Bell's response. It must be replied that any system of aesthetics which pretends to be based on some objective truth is so palpably ridiculous as not to be worth discussing. We have no other means of recognizing a work of art than our feeling for it. The objects that provoke aesthetic emotion vary with each individual. Aesthetic judgments are, as the saying goes, matters of taste. And about taste, as everyone is proud to admit, there is no disputing. A good critic may be able to make me see in a picture things that had left me cold, right? Or things that I had overlooked. But this she can do only by making me see. She must get at my emotions through my eyes. Unless she can make me see something that moves me, she cannot force my emotions. I have no right to consider anything a work of art to which I cannot react emotionally, and I have no right to look for the essential quality in anything that I have not felt to be a work of art. The critic can affect my aesthetic theories only by affecting my aesthetic experience. All systems of aesthetics must be based on personal experience. That is to say, they must be objective. They must be subjective. They must be subjective. But that's bizarre because, after all, we have a philosophy of art. We have a history of art, right? We have art criticism, which means there must be something objective about these works that we're able to suss out. But nevertheless, Bell feels it's the subjective element. If a piece of art does not move me emotionally, I can't call it art. And there may be something to that, but I'm not. For my part, I disagree that has to be necessarily something subjective. I think it's something we can all potentially tap into. And to support this contention, I would note that there are works of art, for example, Don Quixote, or the Mona Lisa, or Louis Armstrong compositions, just to name a few off the top of my head, right? That stand the test of time, and these become iconic works of art, right? Which means there must be something about them that people recognize as being of exceptional quality. Well, again, Bell, just by his own admission, not considering music, no, he contends that what this is in painting is, again, this notion of significant form, right? Color, lines, shade, etc., arranged just so, right? As he puts it here in the middle, the bottom of page 24. Forms arranged and combined according to certain unknown and mysterious laws, he tells us, right? Do move us in a particular way, and that is the business of an artist, so to combine and arrange them that they shall move us. These moving combinations and arrangements I have called, for the sake of convenience and a reason that will appear later, significant form. A third interruption has to be met. Are you forgetting about color? Someone inquires. Certainly not. My term significant form include combinations of lines and of colors. The distinction between form and color is an unreal one. You cannot conceive a colorless line or a colorless space. Neither can you conceive a formless relation of colors, which is a good point, right? We never experience free-floating green. We never experience red independent of something, right? Red cars, red shoes, whatever it may be, but it's always red something. That's a good point, right? In a black and white drawing, the spaces are all white and are bounded by black lines. In most oil paintings, the spaces are multicolored and so are the boundaries. You cannot imagine a boundary line without any content, or a content without a boundary line. Therefore, when I speak of significant form, I mean a combination of lines and colors, counting white and black as colors, that moves me aesthetically. So, gang, again, obviously, Bell's against mimesis, painting or sculpture as imitating anything, right? Again, I find this article a bit bizarre because Bell just throws up his hands. I don't get music. I don't understand it all. But leave a comment. Let me know what you think of this article. Leave a comment in the discussion boards, that is. And we will pick up with Arthur Danto in the next lesson.